Welcome back everybody to some more BeamNG.Drive Cardurance on Endurodrome. Last time I went with some smaller import vehicles and such. This time I'm going to do more of the quote-unquote American vehicles, the ones modeled more after American vehicles. So I'm starting off here with the Burnside Special, and this is just the standard V8 edition. So we will see how it goes. Now these vehicles I'm going to be using are a little bit bigger, a little bit heavier, so we'll just have to see how well it goes. Old school suspension isn't helping it keep its body safe too much, unfortunately. These old suspensions were made to float like a yacht rather than, or float like a boat rather than keep stuff from hitting. And that also results in quite a bouncy ride. But the smaller bumps and such it'll flow right over without the main part of the vehicle moving at all. And this thing surprisingly actually drifts quite decently. Here we are approaching the mud section. I'm not exactly sure how this will do in here. Hopefully it'll go through just fine. Yeah, it's got enough clearance and such to be able to just roll right through that. And ooh, we scraped the underside of it there. Oh, we actually buggered the steering or suspension system on that front corner. Ooh. And we weren't able to get much speed there. Now, because this vehicle has had not a very long run yet, I am going to give it a little assistance, just get it off those rocks. Because my driving was part of the... Oh, it's still on the rocks. My driving was part of the reason that it ended up getting stuck there, due to me not getting it under control before hitting that jump, so we didn't have very much speed. Oh, one-wheel wonder here. This thing does seem to be struggling to get going, though. Not exactly sure what's going on with it. It might be an issue because of the front. But we have surpassed 20 miles per hour, so it's still good to go, but radiator is heating up very quickly, or our coolant is heating up very quickly since our radiator is destroyed, and we have flipped it, which has turned the car into a little bit of a banana. Oh. Sorry, window, I screwed you up a little bit, but oh well. Let's get this started and get her whipped around. Ah, it's some nice, good trunk space. Yeah, this thing is pulling quite a bit weirdly. Sometimes it pulls left, sometimes it pulls right, so... Like right now it's slightly pulling left. It was pulling harder earlier. I think it just depends on what angle that front wheel ends up being put at from different pressures. I think we have enough speed to... Ooh, almost had enough speed to make that. This thing... Oh, coolant's overheating now, but this thing is just having a rough time with this. Then again, it's not exactly meant for this sort of thing. It's a cruiser. Meant to just be on the highway and keeping her slow and steady, essentially. And it slid a bit more than I wanted it to there, so we've lost our tail light. But that's non-essential. Piston rings are damaged, which has reduced our engine torque, and ooh, I clipped that there. Now we are dragging our body on the ground. That seems to have just completely killed the suspension on that front corner. And we have completed one lap with this thing, although I think it won't be much more. I doubt this thing will make it to where the Pessimum made it, which will put this thing in last place on the standings. Don't worry, Burnside Special will be back eventually with a different version. This one I don't think I had enough speed and didn't fare too well with getting over some of the stuff. Also, my mishap with the crash there towards the end didn't help it. I just get a little look at this damage. That corners is all sorts of screwed up. A little bit of weird artifacting on the front. But it is BeamNG.Drive, so... Okay, so for our second vehicle today, we are driving the Grand Marshal V8 Lux. This is essentially the same as the V8 version, but it's got fancier white walls, tires, and hubcaps, and some chrome trimming. I just thought it looked a little bit nicer, but besides that, there's not really any difference. Let's see how this big vehicle goes. This is more of a 90s vehicle, so it's a little bit newer. Suspension might help a little bit more, but not quite sure. Whoa. Get back under control there, Bessie. Oh, with how long this thing is and how heavy it is easy to throw it into drift, just like the Burnside. Those shorter vehicles, you had to work a little bit more to get them to go, but... Surprised we didn't lose a hubcap there. But as we get about to the halfway mark or so, this thing's faring pretty well. It is getting... well, it is being pretty slidey for me, but overall it's doing pretty well. I think that... oh, our suspension on the... no. I'm not quite sure. It seems like it leans left, but the way it went off that ramp there would suggest that the right side suspension is having more issues, but not quite sure. We round over here, getting through these S-turns for the big jump. I'm surprised this big jump has not, like, it has led to the end of several vehicles, essentially. Well, it's pretty much brought its end to vehicles, but I'm surprised it has not killed any itself. It has done quite a bit of damage, but it has no takedowns. As we're rolling across towards the final jump, and I'm swinging it a little wide, our front seems to sustain a little bit of damage. Somehow we have knocked out both of our tail lights. I think that suspension on the right front is giving way. Then again, it just didn't swing down that way off the jump, so I'm not quite sure. Suspension might have some get up and go into it still. It might just be that the frame is crushed down around it. Or not. Now it's starting to sink to the right side off the jumps. And we have completed our first lap, and we have passed the Burnside. Quickly approaching on the Pessimist point. We have now officially passed the Pessima. Whoa, getting a bit bouncy here. This car, if it's anything like the real-world version it's based off of, it should be pretty durable. And we have now passed the Kovet's mark. We're quickly approaching where the ETK died, but this thing doesn't quite show signs of stopping yet. It sustained minimal visible damage. I say minimal, and look at the front, it looks decently messed up, but minimal for BeamNG standards. Oh, come on, get under control. I don't think these potholes do all that much damage. I think they're more annoying than anything, but they will serve the suspension some to make it easier for the other such to damage it. As we rocket towards our second pass of this jump, we seem to have plenty of speed still, but ooh, that did do quite a nosedive. I could have killed the radiator. As we pass through this gas station towards the final jump, though, this could be our first car to last to the second lap on this track. Ooh. I shouldn't have had my wheels turned so much there. That could have messed him up there, but it seems to be okay. Our car is sinking quite a bit now, though. Ooh. Front end. Ooh. It slid out of control there. I know I missed that jump, but it's okay. But our front end is now low enough to catch points before the wheels do, which can become treacherous, especially right up on those. Yep, we just caught the front end again. But she's still going strong. Has a faith that only a mother could love now, but it's still going strong. Trying to get these interesting camera views, and I keep overdoing drifts and such with it, but it's all good. Approaching the mud section again, I'm not quite sure how well it's going to go through this time with the low front end, but it skates over it no problem. Something seems to be a little bit off with the steering now, but it'll keep charging ahead, I think. That front end is taking quite the beating, though. The body right behind the front tires is nearly on the ground now, from the vehicle bananing, as I like to say it, but the vehicle bending. Here we go, approaching the jump for the third time. Oh. Lightly brushed that. That does have mass behind it, so it can do damage. We still got enough speed to make that jump, though. Vehicles seem to be in the air more than not there. Not catch those rebars. Those rebars sometimes will just catch your tires and rip them completely off of your vehicle, so need to be a little careful of those. It is bending quite a bit now as we finish our third lap. I'm honestly surprised a little bit that this is lasting so long, and that was quite the interesting thing. I saved it though somehow. Oh, get her back under control. There we go. Light tap on the rear end, but it's all good. Kind of surprised our rear end still has this much clearance, but then again, it is essentially a Crown Vic. Those things were durable as possible, and we have whipped it around that time, but no issue. Just gotta get it going again. Going through the mud a fourth time. Bit more bouncy, but it's still handling it. Ooh, that was a weird downshift. Oh, I did not hit those quite right, and that has killed our right front. And nope, we cannot turn left enough to continue. I mean, it is back on now, but due to its inability to turn, it's put itself into a pickle. And honestly went far enough off the course from not being able to turn that it really should be ended there for it. So, our new leader, the Gavril Grand Marshal, completed 3.5 or so laps, ended on the rock jump. It's still got power to go, but its steering is toast, as you can see there, so yeah, it's our new leader now. Let's go on to the next one. Okay, now we have our third and final vehicle. As you know from before, the final vehicles we do are a bit more odd, or vehicles I don't really expect to do well, or just kind of crazy like this one. This is an off-road version of the Bruckle Moonhawk. So let's see how it goes. Its suspension is very stiff, so I'm not exactly sure how well it will do, but it is an interesting vehicle nonetheless. Steering with it seems to be a little bit odd, but what can you expect from a muscle car being lifted up a good 6 inches or so? But with this bouncy suspension, and I'm guessing highly inflated tires, it does like to bounce a lot, and it does make it a little bit difficult to keep traction, but for steering and such, but it seems to be doing okay. Running through the mud pit, this thing should have zero issues with it, with its lift. Yeah, floats over it like nothing. And our hood seems to have popped up, but yes. Ooh, actually went quite well. I was expecting that to go worse with it getting shucked so far off to the right, but it turned out quite well. Yeah, this thing's odd suspension and everything is making it a little difficult to get it to go where I want, but I'll manage. Whoa. This thing does seem to be all-wheel drive, and come on. Man, it did not want to steer for me. Oh, engine shut off. Or it might be four-wheel drive, I'm not exactly sure, but that little impact from not being able to steer away from it seems to have slightly affected our straight line driving, but it's manageable still. Oh, taking that drift a little too fast there, but we managed to save it. As we approach the final jump on this lap. Ooh, oh, exhaust damage. I saw it and thought something worse, but it doesn't really sound much different. I don't think the exhaust was really hooked up correctly in the first place. Either that or this mod just doesn't have a noise for the exhaust damage sound due to it, well, being a mod, and I think it was made before BeamNG implemented that fact, but the exhaust damage different sounds, but you never know. Oh, E. Ooh. Oh, I think this thing is finished. Let's get it flipped over and see. That rear end. It's quite shaky, but it's still able to put power down. Nope, never mind. Drive shaft is broken. Yeah, I expected a little bit more out of this thing, but with how stiff that rear suspension and everything was, it was bound to have something go wrong. This thing did not quite make it as far as the Pessima, but we did make it further than the Burnside, so this thing isn't in last, but that rear axle, if it weren't for that, then we would have been fine. So, without further ado, I'll throw the rankings up on here, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good one.